There's something super interesting happening in the 2020 Democratic primary. I alluded to it in the last segment. Elizabeth Warren has sort of quietly and steadily surged into second place in the 2020 Democratic primary polling. And maybe just as interestingly, is now tied for first place in what are called the prediction markets for the 2020 Democratic primary. I'll get to that. This came up yesterday during my Twitch live stream. There's another Twitch live stream happening this evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. I hope you'll join me at twitch.tv/David Pakman. Polls ask people, who do you support? Prediction markets ask people, who do you believe will win, regardless of who you support? And often those are more accurate. So first, let's look at the polling. I told you months ago, Elizabeth Warren is not doing anything flashy, but she is slowly but surely gaining about 1 to 1.5 points per month in polling. And she's doing it not with debate kill shot attempts or ad hominems. She's doing it with policy and talking to voters, including in red parts of the country. She put out last week a detailed internet public option policy. She put out a detailed healthcare policy, education policy. I just outlined for you her gun safety regulation policy. And she has just continued to plug away and pick up about 1 point to 1.5 points per month. And she is now more solidly entering second place. As you can see on screen, if you're watching, Joe Biden is still in first place, but has dropped a bit in the last week. Elizabeth Warren is now up to 18%, with Bernie Sanders behind her at 16.8. It's still very close, some would argue, within the margin of error, although when you average polls, the margin of error calculation becomes a little different. But the trend has been Bernie steady, Joe falling off, Elizabeth Warren slowly but surely climbing. Now, just as interestingly, Elizabeth Warren has tied Joe Biden for first place in the prediction markets. Right now, if you go to the website PredictIt, the money is even on Biden versus Warren. Now, there are some other questions here because some of these other numbers don't make much sense. You'll see that in this particular prediction market, Andrew Yang seems a bit high given where he's polling. Tulsi Gabbard seems a bit high given where she's polling. She may not even make the third debate. Kamala Harris is also probably too high. Bernie may be too low. But Elizabeth Warren clearly has momentum, and the prediction markets are seeing it. In fact, yesterday, Elizabeth Warren was ahead of Biden solely in first place. Now she's back into a tie with Biden in the prediction markets. Imagine what kind of a relief it would be to the world if we had Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders as president of the United States. I don't think right-wingers realize this, or if they do, they certainly don't care. Even if right-wingers are against some of the policies of Warren and Sanders, nationalized healthcare, single payer, some version of it, not caging kids or whatever, do they understand, do you think, that the United States around the world would be reinvigorated drastically in terms of our reputation if Trump were to be replaced by someone like Warren or Sanders? I know that they do all the talking points of we will never be a socialist country, get these socialists out of here. They, of course, have no clue what socialism even is. I understand that they say all of that stuff, but do you think they realize that the United States is suffering such a reputational deficit, an alliance deficit right now? I don't know if they do. And if they do realize that, I think a lot of the Trumpists think if other countries dislike us, it's probably because we're doing great things for ourselves. I mean, they participate in this bizarre, childish sort of zero-sum mentality. And one thing that's appealing about Warren relative to Biden and Bernie and Trump, which may actually be to her advantage if she ultimately is the nominee, is that she is quite a bit younger than Biden and Bernie and Trump. And that is an issue that is coming up more and more. Let me know what you think, number one, about Elizabeth Warren's trajectory here. Number two, about looking at prediction markets versus or in addition to election polls. Let me know what you think about Warren's age relative to some of these other frontrunners and Donald Trump. And we'll continue to do a follow-up and track this information. Make sure that you follow The David Pakman Show on Instagram at David Pakman Show. And while you're there, follow me at david.pakman. Updated tomato progress pictures. I have way more tomatoes growing in my backyard now. I think that now they're in the several dozens. The plants still don't look great because I'm clueless, but I do have more tomatoes, and you can see that in my latest stories on my Instagram page at david.pakman. Quick break, right back with more. I am thrilled to tell you that today's episode is sponsored in part by Blinkist.com/Pakman. Blinkist is a really unique service for your phone, tablet, and web browser, and it is incredibly useful for people like me who love books and learning but are busy. Blinkist takes the best and most popular nonfiction books and condenses them into 15-minute audiobooks. I'm sure that if you're like me, you have a very long list of books that you've been meaning to read. You only have so many hours in the day, and that's why Blinkist is so amazing. They take the most important information, the themes, the insights from each book, and they distill it into a 15-minute audiobook that you can listen to in one sitting. I've listened to a ton of books on Blinkist. Our audience can get a 7-day free trial by going to Blinkist.com/Pakman. If you're watching on YouTube, I put a link in the description. I have listened to Blinkist books about economics, about political science, about history, about science, so many interesting things. And after the free trial, if you like it, you can continue enjoying thousands of condensed audiobooks for about $5 a month. Go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. That's BLINKIST.com/PAKMAN.